According to the multinational oil company Royal Dutch Shell, in the year 2050, there will be an 80% increase in the amount of fuel energy consumption. This will make energy consumption reach a level of approximately 900 exajoules each year. This is an amount equivalent to approximately 15,000 hydrogen bombs. Good morning, I'm Brandon Vincent. I'm currently studying chemistry at ASU, and I've done extensive research into the fields of energy storage, transportation, and matter. The reason I'm here today is to present you with an alternative view on the current energy policy of the United States. At the end of the speech, I hope you'll reconsider your opinion on how the government is treating the issue of alternative energy, and how placing emphasis via the proposition of policy on the local, state, and federal level with emphasis on natural gas is incredibly important to the energy future of America. First, I'm going to highlight the problems with the current energy policy in the United States. Then I'm going to explain the causes behind the problems with the energy policy. And lastly, I'm going to propose reasonable solutions to fix this poorly managed budget allocation with regards to more viable alternative fuels. Let's take a look at the problem first. Although not currently active, the current alternative energy policy placed in effect by Barack Obama after being elected in 2008 provided lots of fuel tax credits to purchasers of hybrid cars. The goal of the president was to have 1 million plug-in hybrids by the year 2015. With the current trends in America, this goal is going to fall very short. But it can be brought back to a couple key issues. Currently, the battery technology in a lot of hybrid vehicles, is far behind what the president expected it to be, and will be by 2015. We are not spending enough money in the actual field of research and development, but rather the alternative energy policy of the United States is pushing for the production of hybrid vehicles and not necessarily the technology behind them. When the policy was created, the president thought by the year 2015, hybrid plug-in vehicles would reach a fuel efficiency of 150 miles per gallon. That is a number that is so far-fetched, so ridiculously high, that we can see that it comes back to that issue of battery technology. So right now, your taxpayer dollars, when it goes to paying your federal taxes, is supporting this alternative energy policy, where we're providing credits for people who buy hybrid vehicles. Another issue is the extremely high cost of hybrid vehicles. The rare earth metals used in a lot of hybrid vehicles come from foreign nations, most commonly China. And even China has said that their supply of rare earth metals is going to decrease in the future. This is effectively, according to the laws of economics, just going to cause a rise in the price of hybrid vehicles. So as you can see, we're paying consumers to buy hybrid vehicles which they don't want to buy because of the high price. So in the end, the result is red tape and a lot of bureaucracy. In a study done by the Department of Energy in 2011, they determined that the cost of owning a hybrid vehicle does not pay due to the high initial cost. They compared two vehicles, a Chevrolet Cruze and the Chevrolet Volt. Even if both cars had a 15-year life expectancy, and most individuals today do not keep their cars for 15 years, the Chevy Volt would not pay in the long run. It would take approximately 55 years to have the Chevy Volt pay for itself. This high initial cost of production in owning a hybrid vehicle causes people not to buy them. Therefore, the money we put into the alternative energy policy of the United States is going to waste. And as I'll explain later, we can see where this waste is going. Another issue with the alternative energy policy is another large portion of it goes to the funding of flex fuel vehicles. The current energy policy and a federal mandate from the president says that all new vehicles in the next decade should be flex fuel vehicles. However, as most of you can see, most cars around do not run on gasoline and E85, which is a flex fuel vehicle, an 85% blend of ethanol. An issue with these flex fuel vehicles that the government's putting money to is that their average fuel efficiency on average is 15% less than a gasoline vehicle. And usually the cost of ethanol is more expensive than gasoline. This can finally be rooted back to a single problem: the ongoing use of subsidies in the farming industry. For the past 15-20 years, when ethanol became a viable fuel for transportation, lobbyist groups for a lot of farming organizations have pushed Congress to create subsidies, basically where the government will pay farmers to grow certain crops. One of these crops, corn, where ethanol is extracted from, is being grown every year in a tremendous amount, especially considering that the demand, again, for E85 vehicles is very small. So money, again, that you, the taxpayer, is spending is going to an energy policy that is basically paying for the production of corn, but you're not seeing the end result. Now that we've identified the problem, let's isolate the causes. Let's isolate the causes behind it. As you can all probably see in the media, you always hear about this so-called pain at the pump. The basic laws of economics say that we all want lower fuel prices, extremely high fuel economy, and cleaner emissions. The issue, though, is that our concerns get relayed to politicians directly. As many of you have seen in this past election cycle, energy policy is usually a big highlight of a lot of debates and even becomes important on the local and state level. Political candidates feel this pressure and they try to make as many shortcuts as they can to get elected under the assumption that they're going to be helping you. According to the Council of Foreign Relations, they found that most candidates' energy policy did not correlate to what they actually implemented while in office. So a lot of this hype for hybrid vehicles and E85 vehicles that you can see in our federal government usually has come off the promises of politicians to make some amends with their constituency. Another issue is that the major American automakers were given a great degree of freedom to use their money when they were the recipients of the economic bailout in the post-2008 recession. As I sent a survey out to this class, and I found out that 50% of you could not correctly identify the fuel on which the buses at ASU operated on. They operate on a mixture of compressed natural gas and liquefied natural gas. And this is also a major cause of why Americans don't push for more natural gas in the alternative energy policies, because they're simply not informed. Luckily, there's a solution to this dire problem. The only viable alternative energy source that should be funded as part of our national alternative energy policy is natural gas. Natural gas, according to the Department of Energy, is the most cleanest burning fossil fuel today. It gives roughly the same fuel efficiency as traditional gasoline, and on average is roughly 15 cents cheaper than the equivalent volume of gasoline. With our current technology with extracting natural gas from the ground, the United States has a supply for 120 years of increasing energy consumption with current technology. And as we venture into using hydraulic fracking methods to extract natural gas, the amount of natural gas we could potentially pump out of the ground of the United States is tremendous. The also benefit to using natural gas is that vehicles are readily available. The airport security at Sky Harbor runs on a fleet of Honda Civic GXs, which are Civics that come from the factory, designed to run on natural gas. All the fleet vehicles you see around ASU, all the white pickup trucks, they've also been converted to use both gasoline and natural gas, either fuel. That's because the actual amount of conversion required to take an internal combustion engine and get it to run to natural gas is tremendously small. The technology is there and it's been perfected. So the main issue is, what can you do to get natural gas as the primary fuel for America? If any of you, after you graduate, plan on working near downtown Phoenix or around the airport, you should consider buying a natural gas vehicle like the Honda Civic GX. Demand is one of the primary causes for change in our federal government. If the government sees that there's a great increase in demand for a product, they'll usually adjust They'll usually adjust the money supply and all to make that product more economically viable for a majority of Americans. You should also contact your congressional representatives. If you live around Tempe, you can contact Ed Pastor, who's actually done some work with natural gas, pushing it in our energy policy. And you should also contact the newly elected representative for this district, Kyrsten Sinema, and tell her about your support for natural gas. Show your support for future propositions. I've explained how natural gas technology has been proven and how it's readily available, but the only issue is the infrastructure. They wanted to have a couple propositions proposed in Arizona dealing with creating policies that would allow the infrastructure for natural gas facilities, such as fueling stations, to become easier to manage. But those haven't come up for voting yet, so when those do, vote for them. Today we highlighted the current problems with the present alternative energy policy in place. I've explained the cause for these problems, and lastly I've proposed a reasonable solution: natural gas. There's only one way we can make sure that our future energy consumption can be fulfilled. We must take action today. So contact your representatives, contact the mayor, contact anyone to get natural gas is our future fuel for America. Way over time. Thank you.